he's telling the story, it's kind of tracking with the fact of like the fact that he said he was always told to maintain a certain image of like positivity and all that, and so maybe he took that and internalized it and was like, hey, I'm gonna maintain my image of humility even when his actual values change. That could be a thing. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Guess what? We got another video today. The moment The Rock was exposed as a fraud. How can he be a fraud? What was he frauding? This is a video by Moon. Go ahead and like the video. Go ahead and subscribe, sit back, relax, and we're gonna dig right into this. I'm curious to know how The Rock could even be a fraud, because like, I mean, he was a wrestler, right? So like, that's one thing, but like, what could he have really frauded? He had a lot of muscles, did a lot of movies, did a lot of other stuff. Like, what's there to fraud about?
When Dwayne Johnson, aka The Rock, turned up at the Venice Festival, you just couldn't ignore how the physique that defined him had changed.
Yo, that's what he looks
now in
like.
his 50s, maybe he's finally hit the wall where maintaining a superhuman body was becoming dangerous, especially since he recently announced publicly that he was suffering from heart problems that would see him take medication for the rest of his life. But this still made people think that for years this was someone who sold themselves as the ultimate example of what hard work and dedication could achieve. He's the highest paid actor in Hollywood for a reason. He's the superhuman, indestructible, hardworking Jack guy. His social media was filled with 4 a.m. workout videos and inspirational messages about earning success through sweat and sacrifice, all just through natural hard work and determination. But if his body wasn't entirely natural and the recent changes suggested it might not have been, what does that then say about the authenticity he'd built his entire career on? When you look closer, it feels more like a visible sign of something deeper, darker, and longer term. For anyone who'd been paying close attention over the past decades, there has been mounting evidence that Hollywood's most beloved star wasn't quite what he seemed. His absolute perfect image is starting to crack. Small inconsistencies, moments where the mask slipped, behavior that didn't match the humble, hardworking image he'd worked so hard to create. The thing that made him the richest actor in Hollywood. Which is why the story of Johnson's downfall isn't really about one scandal or controversy. It's about authenticity crumbling under the weight of fame and the inevitable collapse of a man who forgot he was human and not just merchandise. How even the most successful in Hollywood are never truly free. We could first see this back on Instagram in 2016, when Dwayne Johnson was filming the final week of The Fate of the Furious, when he decided to blow up his reputation with a single social media post. Fans expecting the usual wholesomeness, maybe some touching words about Paul Walker, perhaps a behind the scenes photo with the crew, instead found something else entirely. It was a call-out post which was public and scathing of his unnamed colleagues. Johnson was going after his male co-stars, calling them unprofessional candy asses for the
Wait a minute, wait. This is my final week of shooting Fast Furious 8. There's no other franchise that gets my blood boiling more than this one. An incredible hardworking crew. Universal has been great partners as well. My female co-stars are always amazing and I love them. My male co-stars, however, are a different story. Some conduct themselves as stand-up men and true professionals, while others don't. The ones that don't are too chicken shit to do anything about it anyway. Candy asses. When you watch this movie next April, and it seems like I'm not acting in some of these scenes and my blood is legit boiling, you're right. Bottom line is, it'll play great for the movie and fits this Hobbs character that's embedded in my DNA extremely well. The producer in me is happy about this part. Final week on Fast 8, and he'll finish strong. What? So he just started calling him out. He did the Kendrick real quick. Why did he do that? Why did he say that? What were they doing? Now I'm curious. What interactions that he saw from them made him say this? Because I know it's true that sometimes people just don't be acting like in the industry. There's always wild cards in the industry, like whoever you're working with on set somewhere. There's like always some people that are just like, you're kind of moving sus, you're kind of moving wild. So I wonder if that's what he's referring to. What? I'm curious.
Or to see. The target to later emerge was Vin Diesel, the franchise's lead and producer. While fans didn't outright turn against him, it definitely raised some eyebrows. It might have just been a slip-up, a moment of misguided frustration. After all, Johnson was just as human as everyone else. He was allowed to make a mistake. However, it would soon prove to be the catalyst behind the exposure of his ego, damaging an image he started building in the early 2000s. You see, Johnson as The Rock transcended the bad guy image of many professional wrestlers, going on to become the most famous, most liked member of the sport, and then achieving legitimate movie stardom only to become the most famous actor in Hollywood. And he seemed to do all of this without ever losing his authenticity. Where other wrestler turned actors felt like novelty acts, he felt a little more genuine, kind of like an anti-celebrity celebrity. Funny and down-to-earth, self-depreciating Instagram posts, surprise visits to fans, and lots of charity work. When scandal after scandal destroyed other stars' reputations, which...
What was her name? Was it... There's that little girl. There's that movie with him and that little girl. What is her name? Madison Pettis, I think. Right?
Just practically a Hollywood ritual at this point, Johnson always remained pretty untouchable, a 6'5" teddy bear who happened to be the hardest working man in the industry. For over a decade, his persona worked flawlessly. Johnson wasn't just starring in blockbuster movies, he was reviving entire franchises and making hundreds of millions for doing so. The Fast and Furious series was running on fumes until he joined in Fast 5. The Jumanji reboot succeeded because audiences trusted him to respect their childhood memories while updating them for a new generation. He was always the safe choice. He'd never say anything bad in public. He was always a picture-perfect guy,
other than
the cleanest views on anything, saying whatever he was supposed to say. He was someone that star producers could bet their careers on. But somewhere along the way, his humble act started feeling like exactly that, an act. It hit particularly hard with Johnson because it's something he tried to fight so hard against, which is what makes his story a pretty unique one among Hollywood's elite movie stars. You see, that Instagram post we mentioned about his Fast and Furious co-stars later turned out to be part of a wider issue with Johnson's conduct.
I personally never met him, but like, I don't know. He just seems like he's so genuine. Maybe that's why he's making this video though. I couldn't tell you because like I never met him personally, but it's interesting.
Authenticity would become much harder for anyone to defend. In 2019, reports emerged about Johnson's new no-lose clause, a contractual guarantee that his characters would never appear weak on screen. Jason Statham and some other well-known action stars had similar protections. But you're contrasting someone who's always been typecast as a hard man with someone who championed humbleness and humility. And people did start noticing how Johnson would take not wanting to lose and literally anything to another level. Check out this viral clip where he gets awkward about losing a game of rock, paper, scissors.
We do rock, paper, scissors?
Yes.
Rock, paper, scissors. I won!
Well, no, yeah, see, we're supposed to be rock, paper, scissors, go.
Oh, what?
This is cheat. What kind of
No, sorry, I think
When you look at Johnson's recent filmography through this lens, and it really makes sense. In Jungle Cruise, his character dies but is immediately resurrected. In Black Adam, death becomes a minor inconvenience. In other films, Johnson's character emerges triumphant while his co-stars fall around him. Hollywood embraced his characters, they knew they could sell it as a product. And you can see how he started to embrace this himself, using himself as a marketing tool when it benefited him or those close to him. And it was a bug that later proved this. In 2023, Johnson posted a video of himself trying In-N-Out for the first time. Having lived in California for most of his life, he acted like this was just suddenly the first time he'd have an In-N-Out burger. One of the most famous and iconic chains in the entire state. It was meant to be a wholesome moment, and it was probably done by a strategist team to do a subtle promotion with In-N-Out. But it wasn't hard to see this was just a botched marketing ploy, as this definitely wouldn't have been the first time he tried In-N-Out. Even just living in California aside, and the chances that he'd randomly have this burger, we can at least prove that he'd had it 3 times, as fans were able to pull up posts from 2017 where Johnson had claimed the exact same thing, even calling himself In-N-Out's newest and biggest fan. Johnson later amended the post saying, "Thanks to the fans who reminded me that I went to In-N-Out years ago and totally forgot about it." Reddit then exploded with one viral post titled "Dwayne The Rock Johnson lies about eating at In-N-Out for the first time." This guy was so fake during the podcast, and now this, I'm convinced that everything he says is a bunch of BS. Dementia. The top comment says a lot. Dude, he's basically a walking billboard. He's the type of entertainer that is selling a persona.
Maybe like giving him dementia or something. I don't know. I feel like people are kind of jumping the gun on this because low-key, I be forgetting some stuff sometimes. Like, I know people are not, like, at least he actually admitted about it, like, right? Like, this could be a PR move, right? But, like, this offhand doesn't seem like a situation in which he was intentionally misconstruing information for personal gain or something like that. Because you can do things a while back and to just not remember that you've done them, especially like eating at restaurants and stuff like that. Like there's certain restaurants that like I haven't eaten at, or that I have eaten at, that I'm just like, oh, I've never been there before. And then they're like, what? And then like one of my friends or like family members, they'll be like, what are you talking about? We went there like 7-8 years ago or something like that. You don't remember that? I'm like, I usually have a pretty good memory, so like I remember most things, but there's always like a little like tiny fraction of a percentage of things that slip through. And for him, that could have been one of his things that slipped through. Plus, he's getting older. Like I'm not that old. I don't have dementia, so like I don't know. I feel like people are kind of like jumping the gun on this one. But let's keep watching.
Not himself, there should be no surprise. Sure, it's a very small, very trivial lie, but also so unnecessary. And around that time, people were also questioning how someone in their 50s could maintain this sort of physique, especially after Joe Rogan openly speculated about steroid use. This was around the time other celebrities like the Liver King were under the spotlight for lying about roids. Everybody in the fitness industry knows that he's probably taking something. But to this day, despite numerous accusations, Johnson is adamant that the only time he experimented with roids was when he was 18. Roids in Hollywood aren't actually unheard of, so if an actor were to admit using it, it wouldn't really be the end of the world. In fact, they might even be praised for coming clean. We all know people like Zac Efron and Christian Bale have taken stuff, but arguably Johnson would have looked much better if he were just honest about it.
The Rock should come clean right now. He should make a video in response to the Liver King video. I need to talk to you. Because The Rock's been lying. There's not a fucking chance in hell he's clean.
No.
Not a chance in hell. As big as The Rock is, at 50.
The last few years, he's definitely like turned it up a notch.
At 50.
Yeah.
That's natural, bro.
I had to watch it.
That's
yeah, how could you think otherwise?
Eats a lot of sushi.
Video for the MMA channel.
It's like you can't even get there with HRT.
The only real roadblock in that plan is the fact that Johnson, like the Liver King and others, built an entire aspect of his brand around fitness and nutrition. If he then came clean, he won't just be admitting that he's not natural, he'll be admitting to willingly deceiving hundreds of millions of people about realistic fitness goals for years. Just eating chicken and rice and working out at 4 AM is enough to look like The Rock.
Wait, did he say that? Pre-workout breakfast, chicken breast, white rice, and cream of wheat. Johnson reveals 4 a.m. workouts and early morning feast of scrambled eggs and buffalo meat. Scrambled eggs and buffalo meat's crazy. I be eating scrambled eggs and turkey. Y'all know that. Y'all be seeing what I be eating for breakfast.
Apparently, he's backed himself into such a tight corner that he'll never likely be able to tell the truth about this, and it will take someone or some expose to publicly out him. But before we continue, this video is sponsored by World Anvil. If you're a sci-fi or
I know World Anvil.
fantasy writer, you already know.
Yeah, I've used this. Yo, I've used World Anvil before. I opened an account actually. Yeah, when I was first starting my writing, like doing my like creative writing and stuff like that. This was like, I want to say this was probably back in like 2019 that I got this. Yeah, I have this. I use this and that, like the Fire one. If y'all know what it is, I think it's like Fireside or like Fire Story, something like that. If y'all know, if y'all are creative writers in the comments, let me know if y'all know what I'm talking about. But yeah, World Anvil is lit. There's actually a W ad. Yeah, I've used like the little maps and stuff too for like D&D campaigns for when I was DMing for my friends. Yeah. World Anvil. This is lit. This is bringing back some good memories because I'm excited because like we're kind of moving into that period where I'm going to be getting more back into like doing the creative writing aspect of things, and I'm really excited for that. Especially like, you know, with the once like the YouTube channel and stuff starts taking off a little bit more, because this will like bring in more money so I can start putting more money into like other projects and things and like getting stable foundations in other places, which would be cool.
Kickstart your writing career and support yourself between book releases. So whether you're writing your first fantasy novel or managing a multi-book epic, World Anvil gives you the tools, structure, and community to bring your imagination to life. So start now for free on worldanvil.com. And if you use code MOON at worldanvil.com, you'll get 51% off any yearly membership. So make sure to use the code MOON at worldanvil.com. The charitable side of Johnson's brand would then also be questioned once he and Oprah put an appeal out for donations after wildfires wreaked havoc in Hawaii in 2023. They called it the People's Fund of Maui, but it didn't hit the notes they wanted it to. It wasn't all Johnson's fault. It was largely just a case of bad timing. Against the backdrop of the pandemic and the cost of living crisis, there was a lot of financial strain on a lot of people. So when they heard two celebrities with hundreds of millions, or in Oprah's case billions to their name, asking for donations and parting with a combined $10 million like it was nothing, many were ready to attack them, especially those in...
Yeah, because that's like super... That's tone deaf. That's tone deaf real quick. I said tone deaf because I saw this. That's tone deaf. That's a bad move. That's a super bad move, bro. Ultra bad move. Super duper ultra bad move, bro.
Hawaii, who were already suffocating in the
most
thing. Many to the name, asking for donations and passing with a combined $10 million like it was nothing.
Yeah, an expensive
many were ready to attack
them,
to
donate
especially those in Hawaii, who were already suffocating in the most expensive state in America without any real income. Many people demanded to know why they didn't request money from those who could actually spare it, like other celebrities. While Johnson later admitted he could have done this better, it became another thing chiseling away at his authentic image.
Launched the fund. There was some backlash that came with launching the fund, and I want to address and acknowledge that backlash right now. And here's what I have to say about that.
Oh wait, hold on. Am I using the wrong mic?
I completely understand.
Have I been using the wrong audio this whole time? Do I need to switch over? Nah, okay, we got the right one. Never mind, I'm tripping. Okay, good. Woo! I was about to be upset. But no, we got good mic quality. Let's get it.
And I could have been better. What do
you say?
Fund, and I want to address and acknowledge that backlash right now. And here's what I have to say about that. I get it, and I completely understand. And I could have been better.
The distrust turned into animosity, and it was growing every time he made an appearance. Appearances that each looked more scripted than the last. When Johnson did finally appear on the Joe Rogan Experience, it felt like flat, dull PR, designed to take the sting out of the mounting criticisms thrown his way. He'd also hinted at how his image management had been baked into him from his wrestling days, revealing the corporate conditioning behind his perpetual state of positivity.
And Vince and the company always told me, hey, you can't smile enough. I was like, what do you mean? You go out, you smile. I want to make sure everybody knows you're grateful. Gratitude of attitude. Every night they were chanting Rocky sucks.
Whoa.
And I had to smile through it. The bosses were telling me, no, you got to smile. No, keep smiling. Ignore it. Ignore it. Just ignore it.
This is honestly kind of sad when you think about it.
Like
Johnson's describing years of being told to ignore his gut instincts and just keep smiling no matter what. Wrestling teaches you to play a character that you struggle to turn off. Meanwhile, his acting career was starting to look increasingly unhinged, eventually reaching a breaking point when he finally took up the mantle.
And bottle up your feelings, bro. It's okay to talk about it. It's okay to feel the feelings, bro. Shout out to y'all, man. Keep it a buck. We all had to go through that. We all had to face that problem.
Of Black Adam and effectively tried to take over DC from the inside. You see, DC had been in decline since 2018, with most movies after Aquaman not making nearly as much as they needed to, with Zack Snyder out after the tragic loss of his daughter. Warner Brothers didn't seem like they knew what they wanted out of the universe. Enter Dwayne Johnson. Johnson had been waiting to play the Captain Marvel antagonist since 2007, and while he was initially supposed to appear as the main antagonist to Zachary Levi's Shazam in the 2019 movie, the director wanted room to tell both characters' stories, so he gave them separate origins. The interesting thing is, it came out a few months earlier that Johnson himself had actually lobbied for separate origin movies. As it turns out, he didn't just want to keep the characters separate for their origin stories, he didn't even want them to appear on screen altogether at all. Throughout the promotions for Black Adam, rather than talking about the connection between his character and Shazam, Johnson just kept referring to Adam as a dark Superman. He even orchestrated Henry Cavill's return as Superman for a surprise cameo, a spot that given the comic book lore should have gone to Shazam to set up their inevitable confrontation. For a man who claimed that Black Adam was his passion project, he sure seemed determined to remove links to his comic history. A top-like Reddit comment said, not really surprising, he only seems to care about Black Adam versus Superman, not paying any mind to Black Adam's main enemy. Really, it became clear this wasn't about artistic vision. Johnson was trying to retake over the studio and restructure DC to center around his character. That plan then backfired because Black Adam didn't perform as well as it needed to, despite his claims to the contrary. There was tension behind closed doors too, with Johnson apparently wanting to promote his tequila brand at the premiere despite others feeling it was inappropriate as the film was rated a PG. When Black Adam did flop, the entire House of Cards collapsed. The DCEU practically died.
Was it Ja Rule who had the Nah, Diddy. That's a Diddy, right? That has the tequila brand or the alcohol brand. What is it? Vodka? I don't know. I don't drink, but I know he has some. It's Ciroc, right? I'm not promoting him stuff. I'm not. Hey, just mute that out. Mute that out. I don't even want to bring it up. I'm not promoting any of that. But let me mark that down actually in the thing. We'll put 19 minutes on the thing so I can cut that part out. But yeah,
from Johnson's desperate attempt to crown himself its king. And this is how Hollywood works when the cameras stop rolling. While we see slick marketing campaigns and friendly press tours, behind the scenes it's often just massive egos fighting for control of billion-dollar franchises. The irony is key. Johnson spent years selling himself as Hollywood's most humble superstar who loved teamwork, but when it all actually mattered, he chose his own personal ambition over everything else. He burned bridges, undermined storylines, and put his own brand ahead of what was best for the franchise. And you might think that after the Black Adam humiliation, Johnson would retreat and rebuild. Instead, he decided to return to WWE, and immediately repeated every mistake that had smashed up his movie career.
Wait, he returned to WWE? I didn't know that, but the way he's telling the story, it's kind of tracking with the fact that he said he was always told to maintain a certain image of like positivity and all that, and so maybe he took that and internalized it and was like, hey, I'm going to maintain my image of humility even when his actual values change. That could be a thing.
Now, the setup was perfect for a redemption story. Wrestling thrives on comebacks, and Johnson returning to his roots after that should have been an easy win.
a lot too, because like, especially when you're running under a certain brand for a long period of time, but you grow as a person or you like change as a person, right? Because like somebody like that has, let's say somebody who has like a negative affect personality, right? Like someone like Jenna Ortega maybe, for being as popular as she was in Wednesday, right? Like if that's like her brand, right? Let's say like she like eventually grows out of that and she becomes a more like, you know, happier, well-rounded person. I'm not saying that that's her, but I'm saying like as far as like how her brand is perceived versus how she actually is. And if people still to expect her to act like this like stunted, emotionally teenage girl all the time, but she's actually grown and matured as a person and she's more well-rounded, more joyful in her life, I could easily see that being like a similar case, right? As far as like, okay, how do you manage brand change and internal value change, excuse me, as things are changing, so that they can be more closely consistent, so that's not like so stark of a difference that like once people notice it, they're like, whoa, you changed, right? I don't know. That's an interesting topic, but I'm just talking.
But instead of fitting into an existing storyline, he decided to hijack one. At the time, Cody Rhodes had been building toward a championship match against Roman Reigns for over a year. Rhodes had left WWE, proved himself elsewhere, and returned with massive fan support, and was finally getting his shot at the title his father never won. Fans were completely invested in this finish the story narrative. Then Johnson showed up and basically said, I want the main event spot instead. In a move that stunned even wrestling fans accustomed to his unique politics, Johnson strong-armed his way into the main event, forcing Rhodes to step aside. Fans were understandably not happy. They were particularly upset that Johnson was allowed to just show up and force himself into a story as he pleased. Now, not only is the video of the handover between Rhodes and Johnson the most disliked video on WWE's YouTube channel, but Johnson's Instagram following declined massively. For the first time in his career, Johnson was forced to publicly backtrack, returning the spotlight to Rhodes and Reigns.
I remember calling Nick and Ari and I said, I have this idea. I don't think we should truck through this, because the thing that bothers me most is that there is a group of fans, a segment of fans who are upset. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the North Star is, but how about this as an idea? Why don't we go with this incredible storyline, continue to go with it between Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. The idea of finishing his story is one that fans have invested in. We as a company have invested in that too. Rockin' Roman can wait.
Who's he talking
Fans
about?
actually
Wait, the company?
appreciated
Sorry
this, and
about,
it does tell us something about Johnson, about how torn he is between himself as a man and himself as a character. And it's genuinely hard to tell where The Rock ends and Dwayne begins. You can see in the comments in this video, someone says he's out of character. Imagine trying to just be your normal self, only for people to view it as simply being out of character. Another comments he's never looked more Dwayne than he does right there. Truth be told, the damage is piling up big time. He'd shown that even in the world that created him, he couldn't resist putting his ego first. But if you thought his reputation couldn't sink much further, 2024 had one more devastating blow in store. Red One. What was supposed to be Johnson's triumphant return to family-friendly blockbusters instead became a masterclass in everything wrong with modern Hollywood. The Christmas action comedy with Johnson as Santa's head of security wasn't just a box office bomb, it was a production nightmare that exposed the toxic behavior lurking beneath Johnson's image. The numbers alone tell a damning story. Red One cost a staggering $250 million to produce, and yet managed to only gross around $185 million worldwide. To put that into perspective, it performed worse than 2017's Baywatch, previously Johnson's most embarrassing commercial failure. But the real scandal wasn't the movie's quality, though critics savaged it with a 30% on Rotten Tomatoes. Instead, it was what happened behind the scenes during production. In April 2024, a report from The Wrap revealed the true cost of working with Dwayne Johnson. According to multiple industry insiders, Johnson's unprofessional behavior had single-handedly inflated Red One's budget by $50 million. Sources claim Johnson was arriving on average 7 to 8 hours late every single day. Sometimes he simply wouldn't even show up at all, forcing the entire production to shoot around him. Cast and crew members would sit idle for hours, watching costs skyrocket while the star's absence held their timelines hostage. But perhaps the most bizarre revelation was Johnson's bathroom habits. Multiple sources confirmed that rather than using public restrooms like everyone else, Johnson would actually urinate into water bottles and then hand them to production assistants to dispose of. Quote, Dwayne truly doesn't give a fuck, one insider told The Wrap. It was an effing disaster. For months, Johnson's team dismissed the reports as slanderous. His representatives
It's not that deep. Take a bathroom break, bro. It's not that deep, man. You can run, bro. I've literally worked on sets where like you can. The shooting, like I get it, right? I get it. Shooting might be tight some days, right? The first AD might be like, hey guys, we gotta really lock it up today. We gotta tighten up, clock in, lock in, all that. But like pee bottles, bro, it is not that deep. It is not that serious, bro. It's really never that serious, bro. Like that's one thing about like film production and stuff in general. I feel like people, there's always been, or not always, well yeah, always. There's always been this like culture around this like anything for the shot, right? Around like certain people. But like when you're at a, especially like you're working like at a place this big, right? You can literally afford to take your time with certain things. You do not have to rush, especially if you're gonna show up late. Why are you even showing up late? You're like the head of everything, bro. Like why are you the one showing up late? Like I get it if the stuff doesn't depend on you and you like need to show up late and you communicate that, fine, right? But like how you gonna intentionally be late consistently when you know that all this stuff, a lot of stuff is hinging on you? Not a good look, bro. Not a good look. Not a good look, bro. Be honest with you. That's a problem in leadership nowadays. I feel like not even nowadays. It's always been a problem. Like egoic tendencies over the functionality of the project itself and the vision of the project itself is a huge flaw in leadership. Maybe even more so nowadays because it's so rampant for people to be more narcissistic with like online personalities and like managing their media personalities and things like that. So yeah, man, that's tough.
The allegations were both ridiculous and false. But in November 2024, during a GQ magazine interview ostensibly meant to rehabilitate his image, Johnson made a stunning admission. Quote, I pee in a bottle, he told the interviewer matter-of-factly. Yeah, that happens. This wasn't The Rock's first pee-related controversy. Back in 2017, he admitted to peeing in a bottle mid-workout.
And I just realized you just saw my big bottle of pee.
Why is she obsessed
Look,
with this?
I go hardcore when I train. I don't have time to go to the bathroom. I find
That's
a bottle, I
his new
pee
thing.
in it, and I keep training like a beast.
So fans knew he had a history there. Johnson also confirmed that yes, he was frequently late to sets, though
That's
he
his
claimed the
new thing,
reports
bro.
were exaggerated.
Just
Yeah,
peeing in
that happens
bottles
too,
'cause
he
you don't
said,
have
but
time
not
for
that
anything?
amount, by the way. That was a bananas amount. That's crazy.
I don't got time to breathe, bro. I gotta breathe in this bottle. What, bro? What are you on, bro? Just take your time to use the bathroom, bro. A good break. Someone as successful as you knows that like taking a well-timed good break is necessary for continued improvement. You should know that, bro.
Ridiculous. The interview was
feel like that's
supposed to be
just
damage
media hype,
control,
though, that
but it
he's
really
doing
looked
that
like
for,
he was
but I don't know.
incriminating
What do I know,
himself.
right?
He now had the
I don't know
press
what he's
after him
doing.
on all angles, and other reports about misconduct inevitably started to flood in. For example, in 2018's Rampage,
I don't know
he
what
was
you got going
reportedly
on,
late an
man.
average of 4 to 5 hours daily, with one co-star keeping a detailed log of his arrivals. His work ethic was also criticized, which massively
That would have been me if I was doing line producer or no. If I was doing some like second AD stuff, that would have been me. That would have been me, 100%.
dented his hard-working persona, with one insider telling the press it's his absolute refusal to work more than 4 or 5 hours a day, and explaining that it's a control thing. Chris Evans, Johnson's Red One co-star, tried to provide cover, claiming that Johnson's lateness was built into the schedule, but that only served to confirm his unprofessionalism. Here's the thing about Hollywood, it has this weird way of making bad behavior just seem normal. When you're powerful enough, your problems become everyone else's job to manage. The pee bottle incident brings that home in some
Lil Keith is like, I feel like yeah, the celebrity worship culture, because like people do it to themselves, honestly. At this point people do it to themselves if they're not like aware that like literally you're looking at someone and like they're no different than you on a fundamental level. Sure, they may have like different networks, different skills, different talents, and abilities and things like that, different circumstances, but at a core level they're literally no different. So like when we're like out here worshiping celebrities and stuff like that, it's a kind of a wake-up call, because you're looking at people, you're just like, oh, you know what, that person's doing this thing, I'm gonna go and copy that, or I'm gonna like justify it just because like the people that already love them, because there's so many people that already love them, they're just doing whatever, and then let the power go to their head, and then now they're just like, oh, well, what else can I do? What else can I get away with? And people will still love me, right? Kind of like the Boa Hancock situation with like being a beautiful woman and like, you know, just getting away with murder basically, and people still just like super simping. But you know, awareness to what you know give your attention and energy to is definitely needed here, I feel like. But yeah,
weird way. When you're powerful enough that people literally handle your waste without question, like some royal groom of the store scenario, when productions worth hundreds of millions of dollars revolve around your schedule, how do you even maintain any connection to reality? When you're one of the most famous men alive, when everyone around you in LA sucks up to you, when everything about you, from your plastic surgery, steroid use, fake teeth, and fake personality, is completely strategized to always seem more likable. Johnson's story is just like Will Smith's, who spent decades as Hollywood's golden boy before the now immortalized Oscar night slap, or Ellen DeGeneres, whose Be Kind brand imploded when stories emerged about her toxic workplace behavior. It's always like their personas trying to cover for some deep insecurity. Or someone like Ryan Reynolds, who's built an entire career on seeming relatable and self-aware, and yet industry insiders whisper about controlling behavior and impossible demands hidden behind the charm. Fame just creates this weird bubble where normal rules don't apply, where masks are used to cover for deep insecurities and bad behavior, and eventually the bubble will burst in spectacular fashion. Today, Dwayne exists in a strange liminal space. He's still one of Hollywood's highest paid actors, but his cultural capital is evaporating. It's not that he became a true villain like some in Hollywood. He simply became exactly what he once supposed, a corporate suit masquerading as an authentic.
Legitimately doing these things necessarily through their own volition, because a lot of people be getting blackmailed into doing stuff low key. That's been a thing that I've noticed and that people have been speaking out on and saying. It's like Like, what are you gonna do, right? If you've set yourself up to be in a position where like your opportunities and your success has been like almost entirely dependent on like a small group of like people that like whose motives and whose values you don't even know about, they don't align with you, that is the risk you run when you deal with those types of people and you take opportunities from them, that they'll try to like look back on you and like say, hey, I'm gonna pressure you into doing this thing because I put you on. So hey, that's part of the reason why I like to build my own stuff too, and why I like to be a person that's like the opposite of that, in the fact of like, I'm not gonna put someone on just to like control them. If I'm putting someone on, it's because I have something that they want and I can give it to them. But it's like most of the time it's like no strings attached. Like obviously there's like, you know, some stuff that we'll have to work together on, so that we can actually, you know, achieve a certain goal, right? Like if I hire somebody to like draw for me or something like that, like I hired somebody to make some art, I'm not doing that to like control them later. I'm doing that because that's something that I see that they want to do, and that's something that I can provide that opportunity for them for. And you know, it's just gonna be that. That's just gonna be the relationship. It's not gonna go past that in any way. Like from a professional standpoint, it's not gonna go past that. It's just, hey, I see you like to do something. I have an opportunity to give you this thing that I see you like to do, and that's it. No strings attached. I'm not gonna try to force you into any like adjacent thing or anything like that. It's just, yeah, it is what it is. But not a lot of people be thinking like that with the no strings attached thing and stuff, like the power and control and all that. This is gonna be a long video. We're really yapping this video because I have a lot to say about some of the messed up things that people do when they get power, but a lot of people aren't prepared to use power once they get it. If they, depending on when they get it, at which point in their development and how they've learned to treat people and move in the world when they get that power, is ultimately going to determine like how many stumbles or how well they can use it when they have it. That's what I feel. How much it corrupts them.
Person, a rich famous guy who has absolutely no freedom or autonomy, a puppet of Hollywood elites. I mean, you've got to ask, how many truly authentic people even exist in the upper echelons of Hollywood, if not even one of the world's most headstrong, humble stars could seem to resist the pull? So where does he go from here? Well, at age 52, he's reached a point where reinvention becomes more and more difficult. His upcoming projects, including a live-action Moana remake and the Smashing Machine, are potential paths forward, but they also carry enormous risk. The live-action version of Moana could either capitalize on the animated sequel's genuine success or further expose Johnson's declining appeal. It looks like there's already some controversies in the making, with plans to use AI to build a digital mirror of Johnson being scrapped after backlash and problems with the technology. But A24 Smashing Machine at least offers something different, a chance at genuine redemption, as critics of Venice Film Festival are calling his performance extraordinary, a revelation, and the most layered work of the actor's career, using so much heavy prosthetics and makeup that Johnson completely disappears into the role, and his own image is completely unrecognizable. And there's a true sense in irony in that. For Johnson to regain respect, it might require him to abandon everything that made him successful. It needs him to literally bury The Rock alive under makeup and take on a character which is neither The Rock or Dwayne Johnson, which might be why he no longer has the muscles and seems so much skinnier than he did before. But for now, the swirling criticism surrounding Johnson and his behavior off the camera remains as he enters what is likely to be a challenging twilight era of his career. The only question now is whether the man underneath the brand can find his way back to who he used to be, or if that person is lost forever beneath the crushing weight of his own mythology in Hollywood.
Dang, that's kind of a bar right there. Yo, crushed by the weight of his own mythology, bro. Hey, yo, that's a bar. But hey, let me know what y'all think about this video. There's a lot of interesting topics in here that I feel like were very important to touch on, as far as people managing social mobility and things like that, social wellness, especially in an age where a lot more people are becoming a lot more famous, a lot faster, and a lot younger, and can potentially grow to abuse that power without the proper knowledge and experience of how to manage that. So let me know what y'all think later. Not later, down in the comments. And like the video, subscribe. Go subscribe to Young Moon. And as always, I'll see you later. Bye.